Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to History 1301. That is U.S. history prior to 1876. Online, I am Dr. Lee Snaples. I am your professor for this semester. And what we're going to do today is trying to get you set up for this class, to understand the syllabus, to understand how to navigate in this class, and to understand what is expected of you this semester. So let's get started. Just a quick picture of your professor in case you're wondering what the heck I look like. That's actually off the coast of New Zealand. No, I'm not really bragging. On a pelagic trip looking to see albatrosses, kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Later in this video, we'll talk about some of your extra credit, and one of those is to send me a picture of yourself so that we have a little bit of human contact this semester. So one of the first questions I'm usually asked is, what book are we going to be using this semester? And the answer is that we're going to be using an online open resource textbook called OpenStax, S-T-A-X, offered by Rice University. It is available at openstax.org. Subject area is humanities, and you click on the history textbook. It is available, as you'll see, not only to be read online, it can be used as an app on various features. It can be downloaded to your Kindle and other readers. It can also be downloaded as a PDF, so that means that you can use it pretty much anywhere. Or, if you would prefer the old-fashioned way, you can actually purchase this textbook through Rice University for just $52. You can click on the link there that says history, and it'll take you in and give you all your different options. But that's going to be our primary instructional tool for this semester. The next question that usually comes up is, how do I pass this class? What sort of assignments do we have? How many points are they worth? And how do I do them? Well, we're going to take 4 exams. They're going to be 100 points each. We're going to do a critical thinking paper for the end of the semester. That's 100 points each. We're going to do chapter quizzes. We're going to end up doing actually 15 of those, but we're going to drop the 3 lowest grades, so we're only going to count 12. That gives us 240 points. And we're going to have 12 chapter discussion questions for 10 points each. That's 120 points. If you get 90%, you get an A. If you get 80%, you get a B. If you get 70%, you get a C, and so on and so forth. So that's how the grading scheme looks. Let's see how all of this stuff actually works in practice and reality. So let's go to Blackboard, all right? Okay, I'm going to assume you can get to Blackboard. If you can't, I'm not sure how you're watching this video. And once you are in Blackboard and you are in this class, then you're going to get a screen over to the left. Sometimes that screen to your left, that whole row of selections disappears on you a little bit. Just kind of move the cursor around. You'll find a place to pull it back out. I don't know why it does that. I'm sorry. It annoys me when it does it. It's Blackboard. I can't answer for it. Up at the top is announcements. That's where I'll let you know what's going on in the class. I'll let you know of any changes, upcoming assignments, that sort of stuff. Any announcements sent out this semester, I will also email to all the students. So you should get those as emails as well. So if you check your email, you'll be able to keep up with this. The next topic down is lessons, and that's where we're at right now. For this semester, we have 16 chapters to cover, and we have 15 weeks. So I have broken that into 4 chapter lessons, sections, and that's what you're seeing in front of you. So how about we click on section 1 and find out what takes place in a chapter. So let's go to section 1, chapter 1, if we could, please. Okay, this is what a typical chapter is going to look like. I have tried to make this a little bit more visually appealing, but Blackboard just really doesn't permit that. So sorry, it looks like it came from the early 2000s or even the 1990s. My apologies, I really didn't do it. Up at the top is a link to OpenStax. That will always be there for the beginning of the chapter. They should all be correct. And those links should always be in the same color. So the text there telling you what link, that should immediately clue you into, hey, here is my link to OpenStax. Below that is the chapter instructions, which tell you what assignments are due in this chapter and give you sort of a simple overview of the chapter. Below that are the PowerPoints included by OpenStax, and then come our couple of assignments. And those are the chapter quiz and the chapter discussion question. And again, those fonts and colors should always be the same. So when you see that color, you should understand, hey, here's my chapter quiz and here's my discussion question. I've tried to make them stand out a little bit visually. Beneath those, you are going to find readings and you are going to find videos. Please note, the readings and videos are always supplementary information. They're there to help you understand the book, not vice versa. So if time gets short and you have a choice between watching the videos or reading the book, please always read the book. It is going to be more helpful. Some of the videos are very long. I've tried to indicate that they're there if you're really interested in this subject. They're not there for you to watch every single one of them because you think you have to. In some cases, these are 2-hour documentaries, or in some cases later in the semester, they are multiple-hour series about historical events that I thought you might find interesting. As you watch the videos, ideally you do this after you've read the book, and I'm hoping you'll realize, oh, I do know that, I heard about that, etc., and it makes a little bit more sense. The 2 assignments are always due at the same time. They are due at 11:59 p.m. end of the day on Saturday. So week 1, the first chapter is due. Week 2, the second chapter is due, and so on and so forth. We've broken down this semester into 4 sections, 16 chapters. So we're going to cover them in 4 chapter blocks. They all open at the same time. So all of section 1, opens at the exact same time, and you can work ahead. And then at the end of week 1, chapter 1 goes away. At the end of week 2, chapter 2 goes away, and so on and so forth. That way, if you know you have some busy time coming up, you can get ahead. What I cannot let you do is fall too far behind. So I don't want you waiting until week 4 and trying to do 4 quizzes, 4 discussions, and the section exam. That's just a recipe for failure. That's not going to work. The chapter quiz is probably something you want to take later in the week. Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday. But remember, the longer you put this stuff off, the more, let's face it, you're just procrastinating, and that's not a good sign. Please note as well, the chapter quiz is going to be 10 questions. You have 10 minutes to answer them. That should really be plenty of time. You are not to use notes. You are not to use friends. You're not to use any other outside source. Really, the time limit is not going to give you enough time to go hunt down answers for a lot of these questions. You should also understand that you have to be done by 11:59. So if you start at 11:55, then you're only going to have 4 minutes, not 10, to answer the questions. If somehow you get kicked out of the system, your 10 minutes is basically still running. If something goes horribly wrong, drop me an email. We can fix it. We can make some things happen here. Please note, as mentioned earlier, we will take 15 of these quizzes. You will get to drop 3 of them. So a bad quiz grade is not a terrible thing. The goal here is to get better. To, as we go along, understand I'm getting more of the information. This is making more sense to me. I'm understanding the format. Things are working better, and my grade is improving. The discussion questions. There is a discussion question for each chapter up through the first 12. We will not be doing discussion questions for section 4. We'll be shifting to the critical thinking paper I'll get to here in just a minute. For the discussion questions, I have asked you questions for which there is no good answer. There is no answer that works. It's kind of like asking what is the best hamburger. All that does is create a big argument and fight. Why did I ask you these questions? I don't want you to answer the question. I don't want you to answer the question posed. I want you to explain one argument on each side. So whether the question is what was the best first colony, or whether or not we should drop the bomb on Japan and Hiroshima in history, there is no correct answer. Instead, I want you to demonstrate to me that you can explain one reason for each side. So you can say, here is why one group believed this, here is why one group believed that, and you don't need to tell me what you believe, you just need to explain what the two sides and what the two sides are and why they feel that way, or at least just one reason why they feel that way. After you answer that, you will go and you will respond back to two of your colleagues, two of your classmates, and look at what they answered and chime in a little bit. You can do this one of two ways. The prompt is always in the chapter there where it says lessons. All you have to do is click on the thing that says discussion, and it will take you immediately to the discussion board. Or if you would prefer, you can go over to the left and there is an area that says discussions, and that will take you in, and then you'll just have to select the appropriate chapter and we'll go from there. The idea here again is to sit down to work on these chapters in order. I have students who try to do all the discussion questions the first week or the first couple weeks, or they try to do all of the chapter quizzes all at once. I understand why. I still just do not recommend that. I don't think that works as a good plan. I think you sit down and you take each chapter in order, you read it, you watch the videos you want to, you take some notes, you study a little bit, you take the chapter quiz, you do the chapter discussion, and then you move on to the next chapter. All right, moving on. So every 4 chapters, we are going to take a section exam. And for that, we come back to the section folder. So section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. And the section exam will be located in there. The section exam, and just the section exams, not the quizzes, requires what is called Proctorio. And Proctorio is an extension which uses your webcam to watch you while you take the exam to ensure that you are not getting any additional assistance. It also keeps an eye on your computer so that you can't tab out and go hunt down answers and that sort of fun stuff. And that's why I told you don't do that on the quizzes. You really need to get used to answering these questions on your own. The exam will be proctored. If you have any problems with Proctorio, the most common one is that people say they get asked for a password. That is a simple situation where there's something has gotten screwed up in Proctorio or in your cache. Just simply remove Proctorio, reinstall it, and that almost always fixes your problem. There's an extra credit assignment, which just simply says, can you get Proctorio to work? Please, let's try to get that done in the first couple of weeks. And that way we know if there's a problem and we can get tech support in to give you some assistance. We don't want to wait until the day of the exam and find out that we have some problem with Proctorio. The section exam will be somewhere between, usually 40 and 45 questions. 5 of those questions are short answer. So they're going to ask you to write out some stuff, and one of them usually is going to ask you to put things in order. I never ask you dates. So if you're going through the book and you're trying desperately to remember what day Columbus sailed, or what day we did this, or what day we did that, please stop. Dates are the kind of stuff we look up. You don't keep track of every day, everything happened to you in your life. But we do keep track of the general order. In what order did these things happen? And so, one of the questions, maybe even two, will almost invariably ask you, put these events in order. Tell me you know when these things took place. The exam gives you 75 minutes. That is more than enough time if you pace yourself. You cannot get bogged down in one answer, and you can't be sitting there trying to figure out how can I get around Proctorio to try to find this answer because I don't know it. So work through the exam, work at a reasonable pace, and you should have plenty of time. If you have any problems, please let me know. Also, please remember, as with the quizzes, you have 75 minutes if you start early enough. And that means the exam is due at 11:59 p.m. on Saturday. So if you don't start until 11:30, then you've only got 29 minutes. So you need to budget in time to take the exam before the deadline is due. Please note as well, finals week is different. In finals week, we actually end that week on Wednesday. That is our last official day of class rather than Saturday. And the final section 4, we will not be doing some things. So that's a little different. You'll need to check that out as we get a little further in the semester. But do keep track of when those assignments are due. Also, please note, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be talking about this later, but one of the worst things you can do is simply not try for points. And my experience in teaching online is that many students just simply stop trying. They stop completing assignments. That is not a good thing to do. You want to take all of these grades and you want to try to get better as we go through the semester. That's the way to be successful. All right, let's move on to some other questions. Okay, the next assignment we need to discuss is the critical thinking paper. If you come down to section 4, you will find the guide listed in there as well as the link to submit the paper. This is not due until the last Saturday of the semester, the same time as chapter 15 is due. So we've got plenty of time to get that in. This critical thinking paper basically is your major assignment for chapter 4, or for section 4. It is worth the same amounts of points as a section exam, and it's really going to build on what we did with all those discussion questions. So you're going to be able to pick from 4 topics in history for which there is no correct answer. And you go in, you pick one of those topics. We don't have to write on all 4 of them. And what I want you to give me 3 reasons for one side of the argument being correct and 3 reasons for another side, or the other side of the argument being correct. Now, when we do this, this is the easy way to think of this. Think of this as if you were trying to decide between 2 cars or between 2 restaurants. Which car do you want to buy? Which restaurant do you want to eat at? What are the pluses and minuses? What are the things that appeal to you? What are the arguments that make sense for why I should choose this one over the other? And remember, there are always 2 sides to any argument. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay out probably an introductory paragraph. You're going to lay out a paragraph saying here are the advantages to this side. Another paragraph that says here are the advantages to the other side. Maybe, if you want to, a paragraph saying here's what I think about those things. And then finally, the most important paragraph, and that is this is the side I pick. Now, why? Well, because as we go through life, we can't buy both cars. We can't go eat at both restaurants at the same time. We have to make decisions. And one of the things that we need to learn to do, not only as adults, but simply as human beings and to be successful, is to critically think about what our choices are and why we make those choices. So I want to see your arguments laid out for both sides, and then I want to see you reach a conclusion and explain why and how you reached that conclusion. You can do any research you want to for this. You can do no research as long as you already think you have a good command of the information. That is up to you. I do not care about how you cite this paper. We're not going to get into to the various forms and how we cite this. Honestly, historians use what is called the Chicago Manual of Style. I have a copy around here somewhere. It's like 800 pages, and you don't need to learn all that for this paper. The citation I want is simple. I want you at the end of the paper to tell me where you found the information, so that if you tell me something really weird, I can figure out where you got that from. I also don't care about what font you use. I don't care about what spacing you use. I don't care about what font size you use. I don't care about any of that. In professional papers, in academic papers, we go off a word count, not a total of pages. So in this case, we are looking at 750 to 1,500 words. And yes, you will be penalized for going under or over. You need to learn how to say it and say it quickly and not just sort of drag out and think that the more you write, the better it must be. That's not always the case. If you ever want to write professionally, this is the way most professional papers, books, articles, all that stuff are handled. You are given a contract for a word count, and you supply your information based upon that. To submit it, it's pretty easy. You just go there where it says critical thinking paper, submit here. You click. It has a plagiarism software that will tell you if it thinks you're plagiarizing the paper and allows you to go back and fix it. If you have any trouble, there's another simple solution. Email me the paper. All right? And at any point, if you're just not certain, go ahead and email it to me. It's not a problem. If I find it through the normal submission, I'll accept it there and I'll just delete your email. If something went wrong, then I can get the paper from the email. Again, this is going to be due the last Saturday of the semester. Now understand what that means. That means this paper is going to be due on Saturday and our final exam is going to be due on Wednesday. So if you can get this thing done a little sooner, that's probably best. But it is not something you need to worry about for the first half of this class. In fact, I prefer if you waited until we had kind of wrapped up some of those discussion questions so that you get in the habit of creating arguments on both sides. The only thing different here is I'm going to ask you to finally reach a conclusion, and I need you to be emphatic on the conclusion. I don't need to hear I could go either way. Why not? Because if I'm a boss and I'm asking your opinion, I need your opinion. I don't need to hear, well, boss, whatever you want, that should be just fine. Or I could go either way. Look, let's put it this way. If we're trying to make a critical decision and you can't reach a conclusion, then I'm not sure how much you really help me. So how about reaching a conclusion and explaining to me, hey, this is why I think we should go this direction. This shouldn't be a painful experience. 750 words is really only about 3 pages. And honestly, once you start writing this, I think you'll find that those 750 words disappear pretty quickly. However, again, as I said, the goal here is to make sure you get these assignments done. About 20 to 25% of my students routinely do not do this paper. And this paper will probably cost you, well, honestly, it'll probably cost you a letter grade not to do it. So that is not a good thing to just give up on it. If you have any questions, always come talk to me, ask me, and I'll try my best to help you through this. All right? Let's move on to some other questions. All right, so next topic of discussion, and now we're just going to move into some text here and answer some general questions, is makeups, exams, and quizzes, and that sort of thing. If you miss an exam, other than the final, you have 1 week to make that up. So contact me. I will reopen the exam for you. In all honesty, I don't really care why you missed it. I will simply trust that you had a good reason. Now, here's the problem. While you are working on making that exam up, there is another chapter already started that you should be working on. So falling behind is kind of a slow death. It just starts compounding on itself. It becomes a bad spiral, and we want to avoid that. Remember, you have an entire week to take the exam. So let's try to find some time in there to get that exam taken care of. For quizzes, unless it is during the week, I will not reset those. So if during the week the quiz is due, you have some sort of problem, the quiz didn't go right, power died, whatever, let me know. I will delete your attempt and you'll be allowed to take it again. Otherwise, after that week is up, we drop the 3 lowest quizzes. So you can miss up to 3 quizzes without negatively impacting your grade. The paper, I can accept that late, but remember that paper is due on Saturday and the semester ends on Wednesday. All right, the following Wednesday. So you don't have like another week or 2 weeks to get that stuff done. For the final exam, that final exam is actually due the very last day of the semester. So unfortunately, if you miss the final, I can't really help you because I have put that off and given you as much time as I possibly can. Grades will be posted basically within 1 week, and the final actually grades itself. There's no short answer. The final is all multiple choice and fill in the blank, or not fill in the blank, but multiple answer, etc. So you'll know the grade on your final exam as soon as you complete it. Everything else that has to be graded, I will have graded within 1 week of when it was taken. And honestly, I grade usually 2 or 3 times during the week, catching up on all that. So those grades come up pretty quickly. If at any time you are unhappy, let me know. Come talk to me within 1 week of that grade being posted. What I'm not going to do is we're not going to get to week 16 to finals week and then go back and discuss quiz 1 and quiz 2 and quiz 3 and quiz 4. If you're unhappy with a grade, come talk to me as soon as possible. If you're still unhappy with what my answer is, then you are absolutely welcome to talk to Misty Wilson. Her email address is there. She is my department head for online classes, and so you're welcome to talk to her. But let me give you some advice. Simply saying, but I want a better grade, is not a viable argument. What you have to demonstrate is that you were misled, that the grading wasn't fair, that something was improper. And that's true not just for this class, that's true for any class. Simply saying, but I want a better grade, or I think I worked really hard, I understand that, but what you have to demonstrate is something went wrong, that you were not treated as you should have been according to the syllabus, etc. So that's how we handle this. Let's see how we handle some other stuff. So attendance. Yes, believe it or not, even though this is an online class, I am expected to maintain attendance for this class. How do I do that? Well, it's pretty simple. Did you do the assignments this week? So if you completed the chapter quiz and the chapter discussion, or actually either one I'll take, then you are counted as present for this week. If you did not, then you're probably going to receive a pretty nasty little email from the college. I do not send those out. That is an automatic thing because we only count basically 15 weeks of attendance once per week. Even a single absence will get you a nasty little automatic email from the college. Now, here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. You need to show up and you need to do the assignments and you need to knock those out, and that's all there is to it. But I do not drop students for missing class. The only thing I'm going to drop you for is for not completing major assignments. So let me be very blunt with you. I'm going to look at who missed exam 1. And then if you miss exam 2, I'm going to drop you. If you didn't take exam 2 and you miss exam 3, I'm going to drop you. And that's all there is to it. As long as you are taking the major exams, I don't think it's going to help your grade any not to be doing the quizzes and not to be doing the discussion questions. But I'm not going to drop you. You will have to do that. If you are failing the class, you need to drop yourself. I do not do that for you. Only if you are not completing major assignments. Otherwise, you can get all the little automatic emails from the college you want, and it is not going to put your inclusion in this class in danger. Only if you start missing major exams. That's it. That's all. Okay, a few more slides, and then I promise we're almost done here. The first of these would be student needs. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a physical or mental condition which requires some sort of an accommodation, we can provide that. That's not an issue. There is on each campus a Student Accessibility Resource Services Office. I know it's a big long title, the SARS office. If you will contact them, any of the campuses will do. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to be specifically on one campus or another. They will provide you with all the assistance they can, and then they'll tell me what I need to do. Sometimes that's you may need additional time. Sometimes that may be that you need to be able to use a dictionary or some other assistance approved by them. Please check with them and then come let me know. It is not that big of a deal, but I don't want you, because you may be embarrassed, you may be ashamed, you may be worried that you'll be treated differently, you may be worried that it's too much of a hassle. That is never the answer. The answer is that we are trying to work on your future here, and we want to give every student in this class the same opportunity that everybody else has, and that's an opportunity to earn a good grade. So talk to me, let me know what I need to do to make things work for you this semester and give you a chance to do well on your own. Copyright, please note everything in this class basically I own and the college owns, so please don't go out and share it. I don't need that hassle. Cheating, look, nothing in here in this class is open note, open book, open friend. Please don't try to tell me I thought I could use blah blah blah. The answer is no. You can't. Not on the quizzes. Not on the exams. You can't just go download somebody's paper and use that. Please note as well that if you lie to me and I find out and you lied to me to achieve an academic advantage, that's considered cheating too. So let's not do that. All right? Let's earn or not earn our grades straight up in this class. Okay, so we all want the same thing this semester. We want this semester to go well for you. We want you to make a good grade, however we want to define that. We can discuss that. And we want you to be able to move on in your academic career. Unfortunately, we don't really determine that. Well, I don't determine that at all, quite frankly. All I do is I put this information out here. I try to guide you through this process, and then I grade the results. You control a great deal of how this handles. Ideally, you will focus some time, you will focus the necessary energy, and you will do well. But let's face it, sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes very bad things happen, or sometimes really, really good things happen that just take you away from school and you just don't have time. If that happens, the drop date this semester is listed in your ICR. So you want to go click there, and you don't ever want to trust me. You don't want to trust your friends. You want to go check the official date so that you know when you have to get out of this class. Because here's the reality. The only person who is going to pay a price if you wait too long is you. So checking with some friends and trusting them, probably not the best approach. Checking with me Well, if I get it wrong, I'm not the one who pays the price, you are. So let's double check it ourselves. If you do need to withdraw, please, I understand it, but talk to me first, all right? Maybe things aren't as bad as you think. Drop me an email. Ask me if you can talk to me in Blackboard Collaborate, which is a virtual program we can use. Even ask me if you can give me a call. It's not a problem. Let's discuss it before you do it. The other people you really want to talk to is financial aid. Look, I went through college on Pell Grants and student loans like many of you are doing. And the government has been cracking down. And they have been saying that if you drop too many classes, we're not going to give you any more money. Or you may have to pay the money back. Now, you may not have any choice, but I'd rather you know that in advance, rather than making a bad decision because you just weren't aware of all the information. So talk to me, talk to financial aid, and then make that tough decision. But ultimately, that decision is up to you, not up to me or anybody else. Okay? So our topic this semester is history, and unfortunately, history is one of those complex, controversial, ugly subjects for some people. History talks about the people of the past. Sometimes they have done very horrible things, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of justice. Bad people get away with doing bad things. Good people get punished for no reason at all. And if it upsets you, if it makes you mad, if it makes you uncomfortable, if you don't like reading about it, I don't blame you. I've had 2 opportunities in my life to visit concentration camps, and both times I've declined, not because I don't want to know about those things, but because, quite frankly, I've already known enough. I've read more things about what happened in terrible places like that than I'm really comfortable with some days. And I don't need to go and see where that brutality took place directly. It's probably not a good thing for me to try to stay away from that, because it is something we all have to face. And early in our lives, we hide history from children because we say it's too ugly. Well, this is a college class. If you can't learn about some of the bad things that have happened in the past, at this point, I'm not sure when you're supposed to be old enough or mature enough to finally learn about it. So if you have any questions, if you want to know how much of this is really true, unfortunately the answer is usually pretty much all of it. If you want to know, should I be upset about this, the answer can be absolutely. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be upset about this. Ask. I don't mind those conversations. I enjoy them. Ultimately, this semester is your responsibility. One of the terrible things about college is that you're treated like an adult. And that means I'm not going to be reminding you each week that assignments are due. I'm not going to be saying, hey, you didn't do this and you didn't do that and you need to remember to get to this. In Blackboard on the left, there's a thing that says assignment calendar or class calendar. In the introduction folder, and in the syllabus folder, there is an assignment calendar that lays out what chapters are due each week. It is your responsibility to know when those assignments are due. It is your responsibility to keep track of these things, and if you have any questions, ask. I'm not going to hunt you down. You need to come and hunt me down, because ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, this is about your grade, not about mine. So let's work on getting your future good, and let's make sure you take an active role in determining that. Okay, so let's go back to lessons, to the introduction folder, and let's talk about it real quick. I know it sounds a little weird to do it here at the end, but in here you will find the syllabus. You will find a copy of that assignment calendar, but you will also find the extra credit guide, and that's what I'm going to talk about real quick here, because lots of students want to know, hey, what extra credit is there available for me? And here's the easy answer. There are a number of extra credit assignments available to you this semester. Most of them are pretty simple little quizzes, and they are quizzes to make sure you've read the syllabus. They are quizzes to make sure that you did some prep for the first quiz, chapter quiz, the first section exam, that you read the guide to the critical thinking paper, those sorts of things. They're basically 2 points each, and that's 2 points like one more right question on the exam, on an exam or on a quiz. So it's not a huge number of points, but they add up. Then there is a second extra credit assignment, and that extra credit assignment is to send me a picture of yourself. Now you might ask why. Well, quite frankly, I find online teaching to be kind of impersonal. I don't know a whole lot about you. I don't get to see you. I don't get to interact a whole lot with you. And rather than just seeing your name in some email, I kind of like to know what you look like. That's why I show you what I look like, so that we have some sort of personal relationship there. If you don't want to do this, don't. I've had students say, I'm not sure I want to tell you that, and my response is, then by all means, please feel free not to. It's extra credit, or quite frankly, you can send me a picture of somebody else or somebody off the internet. It's not like I'm going to check. It's not like I'm going to know. But hopefully a picture of you and just you, if you will. Combined, those are worth 20 points, or the equivalent of one quiz grade. Now you might say, Dr. Snaples, what good would that do? And here's the easy answer, ladies and gentlemen. Extra credit is never going to move you from a low B to an A. What I am doing here is I am trying to give you the opportunity to get that last point and a half that will push you from a B to an A, or from a C to a B. I have tried conscientiously to take myself out of that equation. So I no longer worry about whether or not a 78.8 you really deserve a B. I have a simple response. Did you do the extra credit? If you did, then you've probably already gotten a point and a half. If you didn't, then you should have. And understand, in college, an A is an A is an A. A B is a B is a B. A C is a C is a C. And what that means is there is no difference between a 70 and a 78.9. There is only a difference between an A and a B and a C. So when you get close there, that extra point and a half pushing you over makes all the difference in the world. And don't pass up those points if you can avoid it. Take advantage of those extra credit quizzes. Take advantage of the picture if you feel comfortable with that. Take care of those points, or just simply do the work right the first time and you won't have to worry about it. Okay, time to wrap this up. I'm often asked, how can I be successful in this class? What advice can you give me? So let's hit some of those things. The first thing is time management. Taking an online class is all about time management. It is about self-discipline. It is about finding the time necessary to do the work. There is a tendency to think, because I don't have to go to class, I don't have to really set aside time for this class, and that's not true. It's even more difficult now because you don't have that time each week where you know you physically have to go somewhere. So you need to find time for yourself. And this is where you may need to be a little selfish. You may need to say to your friends and family, hey, I need 2 hours. I need this time each week to take care of my business and to take care of my class. And you can't get behind. Oftentimes what happens is we think, well, I'll make up for that next week. No. If you're going to have a busy week this week, then you needed to be on the ball and get caught up last week. All right? It really is time management. Complete the assignments. A bad grade is always better than no grade. Look, nobody wants to get paid $2 an hour. But if the choice is between $2 an hour and nothing, then you take the $2. The same thing is true of points. A bad grade on a quiz is not a wonderful thing, but some points are better than a 0. And you want to keep knocking out those grades. You want to keep posting them up and getting at least a little closer to the goal. Understand the story. History makes sense, believe it or not. and your life sort of makes sense. You have a story that you could explain to people that makes sense to you of what you've gone through. And in our lives and in history, we classify things. So you may have a friend whose name is Joe, you may have a relative whose name is Joe, you may have a classmate whose name is Joe. If another friend calls you up and asks you if you've talked to Joe, you know they're not talking about the classmate. They don't know them. In historical terms, there are some people who are inventors, there are some people who are politicians, there are some people who are part of one group or another, and you mentally need to start classifying people, events, battles, wars, whatever, into groups so that when you go looking for an answer, you know immediately who to discard, who doesn't make sense. And as you understand the story, might I suggest you do something that kind of sounds embarrassing, and honestly, it kind of sounds insulting and rude, and I'm sorry about that. Make up a friend. I know you have friends. I'm sure they're wonderful. I'm sure I would love them if I met them, and you want to keep them. So don't do this to them unless they are really good friends and they're willing to do it. Once you've read the chapter, all right? Better yet, once you've read the chapter twice and you've taken notes over it, imagine this friend and then tell them about what you've read. Tell them about what happened. Can you explain it? They don't need to know all the details. They don't need to know all the exact names. But can you make a coherent story out of what happened? This is what happened when Columbus came. This is why the Americans and the British went to war. If you can explain it, then it probably makes sense. Does that make sense? I hope so. Next up, and this is going to sound even more insulting, and this is before I get to the be proactive, don't get stupid. I'm sorry. That sounds terrible. I know it gets awful. We are oftentimes our own worst enemies. So we go in, we study, we know the material, we pull up the exam, we pull up the quiz, and immediately everything runs right out of our brains. And what happens there is we panic, we get upset, we get worried, and we become our own worst enemy. So let's stop that. Let's think about the fact that realistically, you are in more danger driving on the highway than you are in my class. Nothing bad's really going to happen to you. Even a bad grade is not terrible. It's okay. Nobody gets hurt. You don't hurt anybody. You don't end up with horrific bills. You just kind of have a bad grade. And once you relax, the answers start coming. When you study, this is going to sound a little weird, but studying is much like eating. It's best done one bite at a time. So you don't try to shove an entire hamburger in your mouth all at one time. You don't take a chapter and say, I have 45 minutes, I'm going to try to cram all this information in my brain. As you work through these weekly chapters, as you work through these discussion questions, pick up the chapter, read 2, 3, 4 sections of it, kind of understand it, maybe even go back and reread it, and then move on to the next section the next day, and kind of go from there. Be proactive. This is your future. I'm going to be blunt. I have my degree. I like my degree. I have my job. I have worked my way through college. I've gotten to this point. Now our goal is to try to help you through this. But you have to assume the responsibility for that. You need to come to me when you're struggling. You need to let me know, hey, I'm not getting this stuff. You need to make sure you're taking the time necessary. You need to make sure you say to your friends, look, I got to be selfish for a little while. I got to take care of my business so that things are better down the road. And those things will help you. Remember your goal. We come into these classes and we think, I have to make an A. And the answer is no, you don't. I have a PhD. I'm not bragging, I'm explaining. I have the highest degree awarded in this country. And people think, oh, you must have been a fantastic student. My first 2 years in college, I have 2 D's and an F on my transcript. All right? I was not a 4.0 student. I was not an exceptional student. In fact, I was down to like a 2.1, 2.2 GPA before I figured out what I needed to do. And what I needed to do was to focus on school. What I needed to do was that time management and to complete assignments and to be proactive and to remember my goal. Your goal this semester, whether you realize it or not, is straightforward and simple. You want to never have to take this class again. You want to get this class done on your transcript so you can get closer to that associate's degree, that bachelor's degree, or whatever degree you're working on, which really gets you to where you probably want to be, and that's to a paycheck. We are trying to set this up so that you get more money and a better life for your family, for yourself, than you could do otherwise. I don't control that. You do. Well, we understand. Look, things can happen that get in the way, things that are simply unavoidable. But all too often, ladies and gentlemen, what interferes with us is the same thing that got me those 2 Ds and that F on my transcript. It wasn't life interfering, it was me not taking care of my business. It was me letting myself get distracted. It was me wanting to hang out with my friends or go down to the gym on campus and enjoy myself rather than taking care of business, doing the work. Once I figured that out, the grades got much better. Once I put myself in the right frame of mind, things improved dramatically. And they can do so for you as well. I'm looking forward to this semester. I hope you're looking forward to this semester. I'm here. I'm available for you. Send me an email. We can get into a virtual chat room, no problem. I have office hours listed in the ICR. You can contact me. I am at your service. I am trying to do what I can to make it possible for you to be successful and for you to enjoy this semester. I hope you enjoy it. I look forward to interacting with you this semester. Good luck.